Okay, so let me show you where I am right now. So right now I'm underneath the front bumper looking back, and I got the transmission hooked back up to the motor. It took me about 2.5 hours to do this. And the reason why, which I'll show you, is because the transmission is in an angle. And this jack here, which I'll give you a better picture of in a minute, even though it has adjustable where you can adjust the tilt of it, you know, front to back, this is impossible to do when you've got over 200-pound weight on here. It's like really hard. So basically, looking here, this is the torque this is the flywheel or flex plate, and you can see one of the torque converter bolts right there. So there's a total of 4, and right up in here you can probably see the torque converter on the back of the flex plate or the flywheel, and that's how you can rotate the torque converter to match the holes on the flywheel. And as you can see, I put a mark. I used a regular Sharpie marker to mark each bolt, torque converter bolt, before I took it out. You will reach your hand back up in here, and that's how you'll be able to get to rotate the torque converter. And it should rotate freely, just like it did when you first install it in the transmission. It should still rotate freely. So make sure that when you do this, that you use blue Loctite on all of the torque converter bolts. That way they don't come loose. As you can see, I ended up using my floor jack. I had to use that for the hold the motor up, or the engine up, because of the my other jack. I had to be able to up, lower it, and raise it depending on where I needed how to attach the transmission. This is the jack that I got from Harbor Freight. This jack works good if the transmission lays flat, but as you can see, the transmission is in the angle, and you can see it's halfway falling off of the jack. You can look at the jack and tell how it's not leveled as far as the top part of it, and you have to crank it using, you can use air tools to raise it, but when you lower it, you should do it by hand because it comes down too fast. So I had to use a combination of that. I've got these other jacks here, and then another hydraulic jack, cylinder jack right there, but I was able to get it in there. And I'll show you, this is the jack that you would want, which is this one right here. I bought this one because I was having a hard time using the current jack I have, just in case. So since I got the transmission in, I'm going to take it back to Harbor Freight. So right now I'm about to install the side engine mount here, or the transmission mount, and then the starter, and then just start putting everything back together. I've already got all of the bell housing bolts in, which is right there. You can see them all. I numbered all of them. See, I numbered all of them. Then I'll put the rear transmission or the rear motor mount on as well, and just put everything back together. So okay, so I'll give you guys an update after I make progress after those things. Okay, so here's a quick update. Finally got everything back together. Got the battery in. Also, the transmission. Just a quick note, I don't know if I was able to show this before, but the transmission fill tube, which is right here, make sure it has a gasket on the end when you insert it back into the transmission to clean it. I didn't change mine, it didn't look bad, and plus I didn't have an extra one, so I'll when I test it out, I'll just keep an eye on it. Also, that one rear engine mount bolt. Trying to see if I can get it to zoom in. If you look, oh, let me see my finger. Right there, where it says that's a B. That's how I labeled the bolts. That's the one that was hidden that I didn't see the first time. It was easier for me to get this bolt from underneath, which I'll show you. So got the cruise control back in. Also the starter. You really can't see it from here. I'll show you from underneath. The rear engine mount, the front engine mount, sorry, and the rear engine mount. Here are the coolant hoses for the not coolant, the transmission cooler hoses, and I'll take you underneath and show you underneath there. Okay, so as you see, I've got the CV axle in. This is actually in on both sides. The Dorman pan, one thing I noticed is this sucker's leaks. As you can see right there, it's not a lot, but it's leaking. And you know, I'm not sure. I took the screw out before I installed it just to look at it. So I don't know if it's a one-time crush washer. Yeah, I tighten it like really tight, tighter than I would the oil pan screw, drain screw. So I'm gonna talk to Napa about that to find out, you know, what the deal is with it. And let me just take you. So okay, so here is the front engine mount. It's a good idea to replace this if it needs to be replaced, you know, because you're going to have to take it out anyway. There's the starter, you know, which I had to put that back in. I replaced this cover here because a few times in the past when I took off the oil pan to replace that gasket, I didn't take this off, and so what ended up happening was the rubber foam that you see right here, this is like a foam. Sorry about that, guys. My battery's getting low on my phone, so it killed the flash. So okay, so here this cover is what I replaced, brand new. I'm gonna try to get as good of a picture as I can. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's look back here. So I'm sliding underneath here. Okay, so look right up there, right here, right through here is where you can get that bolt. You can put just a regular wrench in here and you can feel it right here. A small ratchet will work too. You can also reach from this way too. I forget where that, oh, I'm sorry, it's all the way back here, but that was the easiest way to do it. Okay, so let me start her up and let's see what happens. Okay, so now I'm about to start her up. Okay, so I have this noise here, and I actually not sure what it is. It sounds like it's coming from the top of the engine, but I'm also thinking that it might be my starter that's bad, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. I just wanted to let you hear that because I've never heard that before, and it didn't make this noise before I did all of this work. So I did buy a starter, and I'm going to see if that's actually the problem. I'm really hoping it is, because I really don't want to have to take this transmission all the way out again to try to troubleshoot this. So I am going to changed that. This is the original starter. It's got 188,000 miles on it. I did notice when I was putting it back into the engine that it was a little harder, which I didn't think it should have been. It should have just slipped right in. So once I take it out, I'll let you guys see, and then I'll put the new one in. We'll see what happens. Okay, until next time. So looking at here, it looks like the oil is actually flowing through the engine. Looks normal to me. Alright, so I don't think I need to take off the other valve cover. It does sound like it's in the middle of the engine, so I'll probably, next thing will be to take off the oil pan. Okay, here's an update. Alright, so I replaced the starter and the noise is still there. Didn't even change. So it definitely was not the starter. I did have an idea to go ahead and take off the transmission inspection cover, run the engine, and see if any of the bolts for the torque converter are loose. I believe I tightened them all up, but you just never know, because the sound is just, I don't know. I've never heard it before, but I've also read online other people doing the same thing. So I'm going to check it out. Looking at it, it doesn't look like it's bent or anything, but it definitely won't hurt to take this off to see. So that's what I'm about to do now. Okay, be back soon. So this is what I found so far. I do believe that the bolts are rubbing against some in the engine. If you can look closely, you'll see how these are new bolts. You see how it's shiny, which will indicate it's rubbing up against some, which I'm not sure what. I'm retightening all of the bolts and hoping that works. It's not, I can't see what it's rubbing against. So I'm hoping that retightening all these bolts will do it. Okay.